There is so much you can learn from others without repeating the same mistakes they made, and personal style is one of those areas where learning from others can be incredibly valuable, both in terms of time and money. I've been watching fashion and style videos for over 10 years, and these are the 10 most practical, impactful, and powerful lessons that I have learned and implemented in my own life. So grab your favorite drink and let me show you how you can apply them to your own style and life as well. The first creator that I have learned a lot from is Christina Mychas. I'm sure a lot of you have been following her journey for the past couple of years, and there is definitely more than one lesson that I can put in here. But probably the most impactful thing I have learned about personal style is that you find your personal style not by buying more clothes, but by actually wearing what you already have, and in that way determining what you actually like, what you dislike, what your own personal style uniform is, and so much more. I used to be the person that would constantly be bringing new things into my wardrobe, and some of them would magically work, while others would actually be a complete waste of money. And I could never really figure out why that was until I actually stopped shopping and started to wear my items. And just like Christina says, when you actually start using what you already have and try to style it in different ways, you start wearing it a little bit more, you can finally start to understand why you maybe like a certain style of t-shirts, why maybe a type of trousers or jeans doesn't actually work for you, and so much more. And for me personally, when I started wearing a lot of different trousers, I noticed that I always gravitate towards the ones that have elasticated waist. And this would not have been something that I would have figured out if I hadn't actually worn my items, but just continued to buy new and new things. And that is why right now, whenever I'm buying bottoms in general, and especially trousers and jeans, I need to make sure there is some stretch or any sort of allowance for me to maybe gain or lose a little bit of weight without actually impacting the item. And so that has saved me so much money and has also made me understand my preferences a lot better. The next creator I have learned so much from is Alyssa Beltempo, and she is a sustainable stylist. I discovered Alyssa a couple of years ago when her channel was actually very small, maybe about a couple thousand of followers, and she was doing the Shop Your Closet videos, where basically she was taking inspiration from a Pinterest photo and then trying to recreate it with her own items. Now, up until that time, I was seeing people that were trying to as closely match the item, so if it was a green blouse, they would look for a green blouse, and if it was a red pair of shoes, they would try to find a pair of red shoes and maybe even buy a pair of red shoes just to get as close as possible to the original inspiration. But what Alyssa does is actually very different, and that has completely changed how I think about style. Because Alyssa talks about elements of style, things like the shape and silhouette of an item or of the entire outfit, about fabric, how things lay, about details, about texture, and so on. And so basically what she does is she sort of dissects the outfit to try and understand why she actually enjoys it. And sometimes it may be because of the fit of the item. And so it doesn't really matter whether you have a green blouse, a red blouse, a white blouse, or anything like that, if what you genuinely enjoy is maybe the undone way of styling it and the oversized silhouette. And so in that way, Alyssa's recreations were never really a one-to-one copy to what the original outfit was, but they kept the same vibe going, and they used very similar styling techniques to achieve that same effect. And so for me, what I learned is that I don't need to go and buy all the same items as my inspiration, but what I can learn from what I'm inspired is actually to understand what kind of silhouettes I'm drawn to, what kind of patterns or ways of styling I'm drawn to. And so this is something that is an incredibly useful exercise if you want to develop your styling muscles, because rather than looking for identical items to the ones you see on Pinterest, you learn to appreciate what you actually enjoy and try to bring that styling and that vibe into your own looks. The next lesson I learned is from Signe from Useless, and I know she was one of the original fashion bloggers, maybe one of the first people to talk about secondhand first. I'm not exactly sure whether she was the one that started this hashtag, but I definitely saw her all the way back in 2018, 2019. She was posting a lot about secondhand first. And what secondhand first is genuinely a philosophy about looking for an item in a pre-loved state first, and if you genuinely can't find it, then going out and looking for that item new. So for me personally, I have always shopped secondhand, but I also shopped a lot of new items. And so definitely I didn't have this philosophy of secondhand first. I would find an item that I like and I would buy it without necessarily asking myself if I can find something similar in a secondhand shop. And because of that, I spent a lot of money on items that weren't necessarily something that I enjoyed. And so especially right now, if I'm experimenting with an item, maybe it's a new color for me, a new texture, a new shape, a new fabric, and I'm not necessarily sure whether I'm going to really enjoy this for forever, secondhand first is such a great philosophy to have, because you can find that item in a secondhand shop, whether that is in person or online, and try it without necessarily putting a lot of strain on the environment and also on your wallet. And so this is such a great lesson that I have incorporated in my life for the past maybe 3 to 4 years, and it has completely changed both how I shop, how much money I spend on clothes, but also my whole philosophy of trying to find something firstly pre-loved, and only if I can't find this exact thing that I want, then in that case I would go and look for it new. The next creator that I have learned a lot from, even though she's actually younger than me, and that is Royden. And I'm sure if you're an original subscriber of my channel, you have seen my style roots video, and that is no surprise to you. So probably the most useful thing that I have learned from Ellie is actually her style roots system. I love the system. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at it from the concept of style needs, which is kind of my own interpretation of the style roots. So what I really learned from Ellie though is that you can express your personality through your clothes. And I know this maybe doesn't sound groundbreaking to you, but for me, I would often pick items just because I like them, or because they're trendy, or because I saw them on someone else. And so a lot of the time, what I was wearing wasn't necessarily expressing anything about me and who I was as a person. And it's only been in the last 1 to 2 years that I have started to truly think about what I want to say with my items, with my clothes, and with the outfits that I put together. And I have been able to express my more professional side or my more creative side, for example, like with this jumper, and this is something that I genuinely didn't used to do. And so if you find your style roots, they can be a really useful lens to both understand who you are as a person and also convey that externally through the looks that you put together. The next creator I want to highlight is actually 2 people, and this is Julie and Alessandra from Color Analysis Studio. I am very grateful to the YouTube algorithm because, again, I discovered them when they were very, very new, maybe again about 1,000 subscribers, and I fell in love with their very analytical way to color analysis. It was very logical, very easy to follow, and that was the reason why when I decided to do my own color analysis, I did it virtually with them. And again, check out the video if you haven't seen my own color analysis. I walk you through the entire process and how they do it. Going back to what I actually learned from them is that color actually has such a massive impact on our confidence and how we look. And especially if you watch their videos, you can see the same person in colors that really flatter them and colors that don't, and how much of an impact that has on their face and how they appear. And that is why sometimes I think that color can change our mood, because maybe it's not your best color and you sort of subconsciously feel it, but you can't actually put in words why you don't necessarily feel great on that day. And it's only when I did my color analysis that I understood why certain items, despite being lovely quality, beautiful items and things that I enjoyed, I didn't feel great in them. And it was because they were completely the opposite of the colors that truly flatter me. And so what I've learned from the Color Analysis Studio ladies is actually to use color to support you and to make you feel great and to make you look your best. Because yes, you can wear any color that you like, there is no rules, you can wear whatever you want, but on those days that especially I feel low energy, I don't feel very inspired, those are the days where I reach for my best colors. And for me, those are often the shades of cobalt and cherry red, and both of those shades just make me feel really, really good about myself, even if I don't necessarily wear makeup or even look good. And so I personally think that this is one of those investments that just pays off over time. Yes, you're gonna get the benefit immediately, but I think that in general, it just pays off to know how to make yourself feel better and also look better, especially if you're someone that maybe presents a lot, speaks to other people, or spends a lot of time on camera. This has a massive effect on how you look to other people and how you feel on the inside. And by the way, if you're finding this video valuable, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up, because it really helps me to grow the channel and reach more people. Thank you. Now back to the video. The next creator, I'm sure some of you may not be familiar with because she only started her English speaking channel last year, but I have been watching her Russian channel for the past 5 or 6 years. Her English name is Ellena Hue and her Russian name is Ellena Galant, and so you can find her videos and watch them with subtitles if you wanted to. So Ellena is a personal stylist and she's been doing that for about 12 years now, and she is the queen of color. If you're someone that maybe enjoys a lot of color, you want to incorporate more color in your outfits, and maybe you're inspired by someone like Blair 80 from Atlantic Pacific, but you don't want to do outfits that are just so over the top, Ellena is your person, because I have learned from her how to combine colors in a really wearable way. So she puts together color combinations that you wouldn't come up with, or at least I wouldn't in a normal day, that are just beautiful. They're so cohesive. And I have learned so much about color theory from her, So things like how to combine analogous colors, how to play with complementary colors, how to do monochrome, and how to find the right accessories. There is so much information that you can learn from her channel, and I would say that if you enjoy my videos, chances are you're going to enjoy hers as well, because she has this very methodical, even analytical approach, and a little bit more of a teacher rather than an influencer. And so I think that if you haven't watched any of her videos, definitely give them a watch. Another creator that maybe some of you aren't familiar with, I wasn't actually familiar with her up until maybe the middle of this year, and that is Rita from the Style Keys by Rita channel. So Rita has obviously created the Style Keys concept, which is about how we get dressed and what is our sort of process and logic that we use when we put outfits together. But I actually wanted to mention another concept that I learned from Rita that I have talked about on my channel as well, and that is the concept of visual interest. So if you have watched my video about how to put interesting outfits together, you will see this concept in practice. And that is that basically you can take any base and then start adding on top of it things like colors, prints, textures, different details, different silhouettes to create a visually more interesting outfit. And so you can take an outfit from a very, very classic and more plain and more streamlined to something that definitely looks a bit more visually interesting. And so for someone that maybe wants to be a bit more creative in how they express themselves, they need a higher level of visual interest, versus other people may actually need a much lower level of visual interest, and that's why some outfits can feel really overwhelming on them. And so for me, learning about visual interest and how to create it or remove it is actually a great lesson from Rita. And so definitely check out her channel, both her live streams and her regular videos. They're packed full with information, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from her. The next creator is someone that I have mentioned a couple of times on this channel, and that is because she has the amazing ability to put capsule wardrobes together. And so if you've watched any of my art-inspired capsules, you know that this person is Daria Andronescu. So she's the creator of the Wonder Wardrobe, and that is a method for putting a capsule wardrobe together that is small, sustainable, and very, very versatile. And again, a lot of the principles that I use in my capsule wardrobe videos, I originally learned from Daria and then played with myself, and this is how I came up with my own way of actually putting a capsule together. So the biggest lesson that I learned from Daria is that a capsule wardrobe is not a collection of items, but it is a collection of outfits. Because you can have 20 items and be able to create 50 different outfits with them if they are very interchangeable, versatile pieces, or you can have 20 items that just don't go together, and so you maybe only have 5 different outfits. And so it's not about how many items you should have in your capsule or in your entire wardrobe, but it's so much more about how many outfits that you like and that serve you that you can create. And that is why whenever I build capsules, both for my clients but also for myself, I always try to think about the versatility of this capsule. Can this capsule actually serve different occasions, from the more formal ones to the medium ones that are more everyday, to all the way to very casual scenarios? Do I have enough outfits to actually allow me to enjoy my life while being dressed from this capsule? And so if you like my art-inspired capsules, definitely go and check out Daria's videos as well. She has done, I think, about 20 different paintings, and so you can get a lot of inspiration, both in terms of colors and items, and learn from her in terms of how she thinks about sustainability and putting outfits together. The next creator is probably the biggest fashion creator on this list, and that is Justine Leconte, and she's a French creator who is also a designer. And because of her background, Justine is actually an expert in terms of quality and fit. She's really good at explaining things and describing them. And so for me, when I was maybe 5 years ago, still learning a lot about quality, this was not something that was actually important to me all the way back then. I watched her videos and I started to ask myself questions such as, what fabric is this item made of, and how is it going to hold up when I actually start wearing it? And so I learned, for example, about the different types of fabrics, from the natural ones to man-made ones, and how they can have different thermal properties, and some of them can be quite harmful to the environment. And same thing applies to fit. And I never really thought about why certain items would look really great on someone else or on the model on the website, but then they would look really terrible on me. And so Justine talks a lot about construction and how items are put together. I remember one of her videos was buying COS items and then looking at the construction and then explaining why they're designed to fit a large variety of people not very well. And that was such a light bulb moment for me, because up until that time, I would often blame myself and my body for not actually fitting into the store's requirement. But actually, when I learned that oftentimes brands will create items to just suit a mass of people, they don't really care about construction or the quality of the item, it just made me be a little bit more compassionate to myself. And it also made me learn a little bit more how to assess whether an item is going to last in my wardrobe. And the final creator, and again, I'm sure this is not a surprise for those of you who are OG subscribers, is Allison Bornstein, because the 3-word method video that I did is probably the most popular one on my channel and the one that brought a lot of new people in here. So Allison is obviously famous for the 3-word method that she discovered, and this is probably one of the most helpful theories that I have come across in the last couple of years when it comes to finding your personal style. And something that I really learned and had to internalize is that your style has to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else, and your words can actually be quite contradictory or opposite to each other, and that is absolutely fine. So for example, fitted and oversized. And that is because you may not necessarily enjoy a very oversized as a whole outfit or a very fitted outfit, but it's that juxtaposition and combination of different items that makes your style feel uniquely like you. And similarly to the 3-word method, something else I learned from Allison is that you don't necessarily need to have completely separate wardrobes for work and for free time. You can actually create one more cohesive wardrobe if you know your 3 style words. Because if you can find items that incorporate 2 or 3 of your style words all in that item, then you can create different outfits that maybe suit your work environment more, or use the same item for a more leisurely activity. And you don't need 2 separate wardrobes to live your life when you find pieces that are true to you. And so I have incorporated that philosophy by trying to find more and more items that fit at least 2 of my style words. And whenever I find something that fits all 3 of them, this is such a great piece because I know that I'm going to be using this piece in a lot of different occasions. And if you're not exactly sure what your 3 words are, I have a unique and slightly weird method that I guide you through in this video. I will see you there.